Guy channel. The Car Guy channel. My name is Mike Hennessy. This show is all about cars and all four car guys. Get yourself a cold beer. Get yourself a cold beer, guys, because our show is... We are smoking! I'm Mike Hennessy, and you're watching the Car Guy channel. I have an auto repair shop. I've been in the business for over 30 years. You name it, we got it, we built it, we've done it, we do it. We love this car stuff, and I hope you guys do too. We're gonna have a lot of fun, got a lot of stuff cooking, so just stay tuned. Everybody had an ocean across the U.S. Hey, welcome to the Car Guy channel. We got a great show for you guys today. Got a lot of calls, got emails. I think it was fantastic. You guys want to know what's going on at the shop. All the new projects coming in for the winter, and I really was pretty impressed to see people telling me about their car, what they kind of got going on. We're going to take you through some great projects that we got in. A couple of my own, a couple of Dennis on that Ford Falcon you guys got to see. We're trying to move together pretty quick on that. We're going to show you all the things happening with that car and a couple others. I got a paint job coming up that's on a 1967 Corvette that's been on the show a couple times. It's time for a new home, and it's time for some new paint. We're going to show you guys all around that, how it's done, what's going to be done on it. So stick around. Two things you don't touch. Hey, don't touch any of these cars, and don't touch that dial. Sit down, get yourself a cold one, and enjoy the show. I can't believe the response that we've had on the Car Guy channel about some of the episodes we had, and a lot of you guys and gals out there seem to really enjoy what we got going on at the shop. And the last couple months have been absolutely just wild. A very, very good wild. It means cars are coming in, they want to get their car serviced for the year, getting their changes done, and all sorts of products being in and out. We have stuff being shipped in on a daily basis. And one of the cars that the guy brought in, I want to make some changes for the shows and coming in for the winter, is a beautiful, and I mean a stunning, it's a gorgeous 1966 Pontiac GTO. I always say it all the time, I wish our camera could actually get the luster and the beauty of this paint. The paint job in this car is an extremely high-end paint job on the car. We didn't do it, the customer had another shop do it locally in the area, and I really think they did a beautiful job on it. The color toward like a marineish blue, and it's just absolutely stunning all the way around. And you can just tell this was stripped down all completely. Body shop did the work, and they go ahead and brought the car in. So Lance said we could go ahead and do the mechanicals needs. Want to go to get this car up to a totally different snuff. Since the car gets back at the home in the garage looking this good, you want this car here to run and sound as good as this car looks. And check under the hood. I would think you'd be pretty impressed with this. Now, a car with this much detail, I always like to point out the attention to detail is really what makes a high-end car a high-end car. This is an ultra high-end GTO, and you can kind of see how everything was painted separately off the car, right here, right on the front section of it. These are all painted, beautifully done and polished with all new cadmium bolts all the way on the front, all the way around on it. And you can see the inner part of the fenders are painted correctly with the right rubbers, right where the hood hinge is. And the neat part is, it really shows attention to detail, is the quality level of the paintwork underneath the hood of the car. This shows it took a lot of time. Lance wanted the car right, and he's a great guy to work for. He says whatever it takes to make this car right, that's what he wants to do. And after, when you see it like this, I can certainly show you why. This is just really neat underneath the hood of this car. Vintage air conditioning, you got power steering, you got power brakes, you got a 4-barrel in here. Like most GTOs, kind of the big thing to do is a tri-power setup. He wants us to be more of a driver, everyday user, so we did not go the tri-power setup, and we're building a custom motor for this we're going to have on one of our episodes coming up, strictly made for this 66 GTO. One of the cool things you're doing to this GTO is we're changing the transmission. It actually has a Turbo 400, and that's what this here is a Turbo 400. But this is not your average everyday Turbo 400. This right here is from a company called TCI. TCI builds probably one of the best, most high-performance transmissions. Now, they build a couple different versions and a couple of different models of all different transmissions. Your Turbo 350s, your 700Rs, and of course your TM, which means your Turbo Hydromatic Force 400 transmissions. These here are probably the most bulletproof and heavy-duty transmission you can get. This right here is done with all stainless steel plates and tons of upgrades from the beginning to the end of the transmission. We're going to install this Turbo 400 inside this GTO to give this thing here the punch it's going to need. We're going to put this car here together, so when the motor's ready to be done here in a few months, then we attach the motor to the transmission. But in the meantime, we're going to put the transmission in the car. But let's check out some more stuff on it. Now, if you guys can catch the lines on this car, how straight they are, and that's a really good way to tell what they call the attention to detail or the quality level of the car. And you got all the stainless steel just beautifully shined up all the way around on the glass and on the tops, and of course on the doors, on the sides right here, and the jambs. It just lines up beautiful. When you see the color on the car, you're gonna see it fantastic. All of your local Bay Area guys, you see this car here at the show, go out, come and talk to Lance. We'd love to talk to you about GTO. Maybe you can ask him a question: what does GTO stand for? GTO stands for Gran Turismo Obligato. Now, there's one important factor I got to point out on this car here, because it had a little bit to do with an episode we had not too long ago. If you're going to see on here, it says GTO 6.5 liter. That was a really big deal in 1966 to go ahead and put that out. You remember an episode we did on a 1966 Ford Galaxy 500 7-liter. Ford went to the 7-liter. GTO had the 6.5 liter. It just shows the competition that the automakers did have with each other on the horsepower and the size of them, and that's how they were sold back in those early years. Some neat features about this car that I really like, and when the car came in to get the service done, were the wheels on the car. These are a reproduction PMD wheels. Now, when I say PMD, that actually means Pontiac Motor Division, and these wheels are reproductions. The original ones was a stamped steel wheel painted with the gray, the two-tone gray and the silver with the center caps, and then they had a trim beauty ring that went on the outside. These right here are an alloy wheel, and I'm telling you, the looks of these PMD wheels is absolutely outstanding. Great choice. When it came in, I was really excited to see that on the car. You don't see them too often, but I tell you, when you see them on some of the GTOs and all the Pontiac cars, I just love them. GTO had all sorts of very cool things going on in these years with their makes and their models and whatnot. 66 happens to be what I consider one of my favorite years, milestone year. GTO was actually considered actual breed. It was a model that year in 1966. First only for that was kind of a pretty neat feeling on it. You know, 64 is really Le Mans. Then they had the GTO, Le Mans GTO in 65. 66 were the very first year of becoming an actual GTO and separated from any other models that they had out there. That's what GTO was on. Back of the car, this right here is tastefully done. This is done in kind of a, I don't want to say the word jet black, but it's a gloss black in the back of the car. Originally would have been done the same color as the car, but the owner did want that in there, and it just shows his own flavor, his taste, and his style. And I always say it kind of pretty much personalizes your car. You can take a GTO this beautiful and personalize it with these cool wheels and with this back on the car. I'm telling you, he really did a fantastic job on it. And when I was in the early years of my life in high school, I had a pickup truck, and I had a 1966 GTO that my brother and me put together, and I'm telling you, it always was a great memory. So when you see this car come in, you never forget your high school car. Let's bring you up to speed a little bit on this project we're doing on the 1964 Ranchero. We're trying to make this car here done, I don't want to say at a speed or a race, but we're trying to do this car at a very good pace of timing to get this thing done. Dennis is a great guy to work for, and Dennis, I hope you like this episode and the last one that covered a lot about the car, plus gives you a pretty good idea at home what we are doing. This 64 car is not a 64 car anymore. We showed you the engine that was inside the car. The reason why it was in the car is because we had to weld and modify and make everything kind of work before we can do all this paint work on it, because otherwise you'd just make a mess of this beautiful job. And what I want to show you is we pull the motor back out, and I want to show you how this pulley system goes on. And guys and gals, this looks absolutely cool. The minute I had it on the motor, I had to send a picture to Dennis, keeping him involved with what the project's going all about. And to go ahead, and all these have to be torqued at certain torque specifications, all the Allen bolt holes that go through all the billet brackets. All the brackets are billet on here. It's absolutely just beautiful and well-made stuff. When we ordered it, we ordered with the alternator, all the pulleys, the correct belt, the brackets, thermostat housing, and we got the air conditioning unit here. This is just great, and a special custom power steering box for it, so we can go ahead and make this thing here exactly what Dennis wants to have. This right here is going to go back into the car, and we're going to show you a little bit about what the paintwork's going on in that car and give you an idea what the colors are. I told you I was going to let the secret out. I'm going to let it out. Hey guys and gals, don't adjust your television set and wonder what the heck happened back here to the gas cap door. Being a straight rod and being a custom car, a lot of custom things do get done to these. We went ahead and cut out a piece of metal for this here, set it in, welded it all into place. This right here is the filler that's going into it. You'll never know a gas cap door is going to be there. What we did is we designed the gas cap door to be on the inside of the bed of the truck, which this is all going to be a beautiful wood in the inside. Dennis went ahead and custom ordered it from a company. We'll get more about that company, so in case you guys want to check into that, what's out there. there. Dennis did a lot of homework, so I'm really proud of all the work he has done. He's getting involved in the project, doing some of the R&D that I have to go through, all the research and all the development to put this stuff here together. But we're going to put the gas cap opener is going to be inside the bed of the truck. We're going to show you how that lid works. Hang in there. Bodywork and prep and painting is usually the biggest difficulty in a lot of restorations. You can design all you want, and that's where a lot of the time takes. And I'm really glad that some of our clients really understand that and go through it. But I got to let Dennis know this car must have had 3 different colors of paint on it. We had black, we had white, there was yellow in this car here before. And to go through all this stuff here, it just takes, I don't want to say gallons and gallons of certain strippers, and of course you have to do the sanding. And to sand this down, get it down to the metal on the car, this is what we're going to go through. But we got to show you something underneath this hood that just came up. All these goofy things do come up. Some of the things that pop up on all this type of car work and body work and everything is the paint work like we discussed. Now this right here, somebody at one time, and it wasn't Dennis, and I know that, but somebody at one time went ahead and put inside here some sort of, oh, you call it a protectant, you can call it undercoat for some reason, and they sprayed this all underneath the hood. You can't sand it, it clogs up all the sandpaper. You got to use it with a stripper. We use a Janko stripper, which pretty much works the best for us. It hits most of it off. Danny goes in and coats all this stuff here off. You can see it starting to lift on it. But the whole bed of this Ranchero, it took a couple days to get all this stuff here out of it, let alone some of the work we had to do underneath the car. This is just some of the painstaking time it takes to put these things together. So we'll have this stuff here stripped off. When we get it also taken care of, this right here will be painted a pearl silver. The inside will be pearl silver. The top of the car is going to be pearl silver. The side of it is going to be pearl white. It's not going to be a yellowy white. It's going to be an actual pearl white, and it's based on one of the Toyota colors we selected. Dennis did a pretty good job. When check this thing out, you're going to be seeing it. So this is what the project's all about this week, and we're going to have more going for you next week. The world of television, now it's done. But you guys know what you're doing. That's kind of a neat feature, really.
We try and help the other guys that don't know as much about what's going on, kind of help them to learn more about it, and that's what it's all about. It's learning.
What do you say when a guy says, no, I was at so-and-so Auto Parts, and the idiot didn't know his butt from first base, and, you know, and then he comes over here, and I guess that's kind of what your guys' claim to fame, though, really, isn't it?
Somewhat, yeah. We, you know, they just haven't worked here, so they don't know.
Well, you guys are finally tapping into the speed market. They're tapping into the custom market, right?
Yeah.
Like all the stuff you guys, you got gauges, you got stuff, you got, I mean, you're tapped, I know it's a little bit of everything, electric water pumps. So since you're kind of in the hot rod theme, so I noticed you're handling some flathead stuff.
Yeah, we got a few little things. We got some heads, we got an intake.
How did you talk them into flathead stuff?
Well, you know, it's been tough. It's been about 8 years coming, so.
So I had a feeling that you had a little something to do with the flathead stuff.
Just a bit. Trying to get some of that stuff, just to let people know what we can get. I mean, if we have a variety, somebody might, you know, say, hey, you guys stock flathead stuff. How about something for a nail head, or, you know, whatever, you know.
How many customers really like my shop are out there? My shop we build the street rod stuff, the custom stuff we build. How many guys out there are like me?
You know, not too many. They're getting less and less every day.
You're trying to say we're trying to dinosauric, huh?
Yeah, kind of. But I'm trying to bring it back. We're trying to bring it back.
Cool. Hey, we're going to do that. Hey, let's get the rest of the store, guys. Rock and roll. Cool. Hey, thanks, bud.
All right.
Get out in that kitchen and rattle those pots.
You know, in the auto repair restoration business, we cannot do it all. This happens to be one of the cars we started restoration on. We went and pulled the motor out, took care of oil leaks, chains, and did all sorts of work that the car needed to do. Again, it's a car that my good buddy wants to freshen this thing here up and wants to freshen up with paint. The value of these, being a Carrera 2 is just a spectacular car, let alone being a Carrera 2 Cabriolet, being the convertible. You know, the top goes down, the price goes up. Very good collector car, and a pricey car to go ahead and restore, very difficult. The motors on them were very, very exotic and very high-end. We pulled the engine out of the car, we went through suspension, brakes. Now it goes back for upholstery. We just pick it up from the paint shop. We stripped everything off this car, the bumpers, you name it, we stripped it off the car to give this a high-end quality.
You look so warm, but your heart is cold as hell.
We're not in the factory. We're not anywhere crazy. We're not in Star Wars. I wanted to take you guys in and show you really what the spray booth's all about, the exotic equipment that these things have. And this right here is called a downdraft. That means when this thing kicks in, all these motors and all this equipment that you see that's bolted to this huge, huge piece of equipment is that the drums start turning and the air starts going into a suction. It's almost like a jet. And what it does is it pulls all the air, you kind of name it, goes in, and it goes right through the floor into a complete filtering system on the side over there. All the lighting, the panels in there's a couple colors that they can change in here, but basically that's the whitest white light you can have. So when you paint a car, so on the day the Corvette's going to be painted, Jason and myself, we put on a white suit on it, put a white hat, and we go ahead and have dual spray guns, and we should be able to shoot that car really in about a couple hours. When we shoot the color, we want the car to go ahead and sit for maybe about an hour and a half or 2 hours before we put the clear coat on. These aren't designed with heaters or nothing like that, like some of the production type shops are. These are designed with the heating base equipment to keep the car at a room temperature. That's what you want. You don't need this thing here to be at 90 degrees, and you definitely don't want it to be under 65 degrees neither. So it kind of keeps a good ambient temperature all day long. When this room, before a car comes in here, the car comes in and acclimates. They close all the doors, seal it all up, turn the blowers on, suck all the air all through here, and then all of a sudden you're actually in what they call like a semi-vacuum environment. There's no dust in the air. That's what hurts a paint job more than anything. Prep is the whole key to it. The car's prepped outside. It's sanded outside. It's dialed in. It's wiped down outside. When you bring the car into the shop, it's already been blown off, ready to go, and it comes into the spray booth. This is how you spray cars. This is what's done today with the environment that we have. It does save the environment, and it's a very good way to go about it. And the second thing is, if you guys don't think about that at all, it gives you the best paint job you will ever have in the planet. My good guys over here at Advance, they went ahead and took care of the car, stripped it all down, repainted it, and I think the car looks absolutely spectacular. So you're seeing it in the middle stages before we get all the glitter and glamour on it and all the stuff. So check this here out, and we're going to take you inside and show you the car that I've been dying to show you. This car's been on the show more than once. This is a 1967 Corvette 427, 435 horse car. I'm telling you, it's been one of my favorites. Now, this car's going to be going to a new home, but it's been on the show before because the car is so sterile and so nice. And the color is absolutely spectacular. It's probably one of my favorites for these particular type of cars, but the value of them is extremely high. These are just running off the charts. They're very collectible, desirable, and let alone they're just really one heck of a fantastic car. So we decided to go ahead for the new home that I feel it's going to be going to. We're going to paint it. Talked to my buddies who just finished the Porsche. They said, Mike, I want to tackle that Corvette. I want to do this car. This car has no body damage on it whatsoever. That's kind of the plus of the car. But again, being a Corvette has to be tackled a lot differently than the Porsche. The way you have to remove the paint, the way you have to do a lot of the body work on it. There's a few cracks in the car, but these guys know what to do. We're teaming up, and we're going to take all the cracks out of it and take all the paint down on the car. We took everything off it we possibly could. Lights, the rear valance where the exhaust goes into. And 67 was the only year that had the two little lights right here in the back for the reverse lights. We took all those pieces off, ordered all new gaskets, re-chroming the car, and putting this all back together in the original color. Taking the moldings off the back, this window seals so well, I did not want to take the seal off the back of the glass. We might talk about that later, but it's just really the way it is. I think it's very, very nice. All the clips are in extremely good shape that holds the molding on. This right here is a very difficult part as far as reproduction stuff, so I want to keep the original stuff. We're polishing all the stainless that goes around the back of the car to make this car just fantastic and just what it needs to be. Besides the rear reverse lights on a 67 only on the car that goes right here, the gas cap door, the only item on this car is different from 67 than any other car. The gas cap door still has the Corvette flags, but it's painted to match the car. This right here is probably the step above cosmetic restoration, probably way above cosmetic restoration, because this car is such a nice car. It needed, the problem really was that there was some fade in the color, there were some chips here, and redoing that would have been kind of really not the right thing to do. Like around the windows, there was some cracking and things. We'll point out some of those to you throughout the show, but you're going to see some of the areas that needed attention. So the best way to really do is strip off everything we possibly can on the outside of the car, but door jambs, and you know how I talk about all the time, attention to detail, so door jambs is going to make a really pretty big difference. These doors here, we took off all the hinges, all the knobs, everything's all taken off on the car, so these door jambs would be painted just like they really should be the day it was from the factory. And they had all sorts of different rubber items on these cars. on the coupes all had a rubber band that went all the way across the top here that stopped. Only did the top basically so water would not get inside the car. But all the jams will need to be done on here. We took all the windows out for the rubber out for the wing windows. So this can be a really nice job. This color on the car is just literally outstanding when you see it in live person. So let's go check out the rest of the other items in this car to show you what's a 67 only. Here's a scratch that happened actually for the person that I bought the car from. He scratched it during a certain thing that went on in his life, how things went in the garage. But I bought it really because it's a number matching 67 427 Corvette. But things like this here, just without the years and the time, we're going to go ahead and try to realign the door a little bit, take care of all the stuff so it doesn't chip anymore on the car. But again, an item that's only 67 only. You see a lot of Corvettes and they used to have an emblem or a badge and they would say what the make and the model of the car was. You know, even the 396 cars, they had the flags and they'd say 396 turbojet, whatever it may be on the car. 67 did not do that on the fenders of the cars. But what 67 did do is they had these right here, these slashes on it. That's 67 only. I just think they look great. A lot of guys with 64s, 5s, 6s, and other years of the Corvettes, actually you can buy this panel and they put it on their car and they put on the back lights to give the car the 67 look. Believe it or not, that's kind of a neat piece. A lot of people do it, and that kind of makes some of their car a little bit of a rod, but back then they made their car look like a 67 because this body style was 63, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this was 5 years of this body style. So when you make your car look a little fresher, make it look like a newer car, people did all sorts of things. You can see, obviously, the bumpers are removed, grills removed, lights are removed. Is what you're really seeing is a fiberglass outer shell of this car. But there's some items on the car that are pretty difficult to take off, and maybe we can probably get away with it, like saying doing a cosmetic, better than a cosmetic restoration, doing a good, what I'm calling a good quality paint job. We took the motors out of the headlights. So these motors here can just go ahead and rock and roll, maneuver around, so we can go ahead and spray inside here, and do the same thing on either side. We can do a really nice job on it without removing them. It's an item we don't really need to remove because this car is going to be a driver. This would be probably a better paint job than your average car for driving on the road. But this, I don't want to say a trick to the paint world, but that's a good way to get around without pulling these out, because to pull out these doors, it is a massive job to pull them out. And we want to keep costs somewhat reasonable in today's society because paint work is just so expensive to be done. We're going to go ahead and zoom in on a crack over here we'll talk about, and that's part of the reason why a lot of repairs are going to be getting done. There's something about this car here that really had to bring to my attention was that the 67 did not have a white stinger. The interior in this car here, going by the code numbers, was really not white interior. It was actually blue vinyl interior off the code numbers. So the previous owner went ahead and wanted him in white leather originally. He got white leather and got white door panels. It was a taste issue. Nothing's wrong with it. It looked really nice. I don't think it takes away the value of the car by any means at all. It's more of an opinion and what somebody wants. So I always say it's a taste issue. But I thought the white stinger had a good look with the white interior. Even if it had blue interior, I think the white stinger would actually work on the car. But from the factory, they did not do that. And so when this car here gets resold, we want to go ahead and try to put it back the way it really was, or close to as possible, that the car had a stinger. Now, some cars came from the factory without a painted stinger on the hood. But when they did paint the stinger, there's two colors of blue. You know, your Lendl blue, Elkhart blue, whatever color blue you had on the car, that's going to be this particular color on the car will be a darker blue, will be the color of the stinger. So the stinger is going to come back in a darker blue. This is going to be the color, the lighter blue. And I think it's going to look absolutely spectacular. It wasn't sold at first. Seeing some pictures, you do the research, and you go, oh, geez, that does have a look to it that really makes a lot of sense. So that's what we're going to do to the car on this particular hood. On the stinger, same way that's done here in white, and it'll be done in the darker blue. Now, keep in mind, a fiberglass painter and a regular body painter, you have to have little, there's kind of like two different generations here, two different zones to work with. Fiberglass does come into the market, and a lot of other cars have fiberglass pieces, fiberglass cars, but Corvette has always been fiberglass since the day 1953, all the way to current. They have some graphite items on the car, but these right here are all fiberglass. No myths, no questions. Guys might say whatever they want to say. These cars were always all fiberglass. Now, the earlier fiberglass had its issues. They called stress cracks, and you get them right in some of these areas here. Now, this car here was probably painted 2 times in its life, maybe 3, and a touch-up, you never know. But this right here in the paint is really not a body crack. It's kind of a stress in the fiberglass as it moves, and as what this has done is actually cracked the paint. And we'll probably see a small, very hairline crack when we go ahead and redo this. We'll be drilling a hole on this end here to stop the crack from going any further, and we go ahead and do the body work in between to clean this up. This definitely right here is definitely a paint crack. crack because you can see the way the paint is lifting. There's really not too much stress here, except for if somebody ever leaned on this portion of the front of the car, can do that. Anybody leaning on your car personally should be hung and shot, but we can't do that on the show. But you know the way the rule goes, you can't be doing that. Go to some car shows, somebody throws a model on the car to go ahead and display the car. Hey, there's other places for girls to be around the car, not on the hoods and this type of stuff, especially on the cars, the show cars like these. But this is where the paint cracks and stress cracks go. It's always generally in the corner. You'll never see one in the middle of the car. Sometimes you'll see it where a bonding strip where they mold the fiberglass together. But this right here is some of the big reasons why I'm going to go ahead and paint the car. And again, stress cracks are always around where the corners are. And here happens to be a corner right here, and there's a stress crack right in this particular area. So the stress cracks in this car, I don't want to say are easy repairs. There's really nothing that's easy. When someone knows what they're doing, everything's easy. You know, depends on if you're cooking or making the bed. But if you don't make a bed, you don't really cook a lot. It's not that easy. But they do it correctly on the cars. Like I was telling you, we grind them out. They've drilled some holes in them before to kind of stopped anything. And that's just one way of repairing it. But remember, this type of glass is a little bit different than the fiberglass pieces we got today. So you got to know a little bit of old school. You got to have some knowledge of the way the original fiberglass goes together. So you go ahead and when you do the repair, it's going to stay repaired. Now, when these bodies were molded together, these front ends were probably done in multiple pieces. And they had a top surround, the pieces, how they go together. And there's a bonding strip in this car here that runs all along right above this line that goes all the way down the side of it. That's how this car here was molded together from the factory. Now, those are usually where some of the stress tracks really come together. To me, if you're a Corvette guy, you're looking to buy a Corvette or think about getting a Corvette painted, if you know your stress cracks, look in the books and find out really where they are. And you can kind of look through the paint. If you don't see any lines, that will tell you that paint on that body on that car is in pretty good shape. That's what tells me that this car here was in excellent shape, being an original body on the car, never been modified or cut or hit or changed over. So we can tell that those lines, when the paint gets stripped off the car, that's the first thing we're going to check is all these lines when the paint gets taken off. Now, there's a reason why I'm stressing a little bit on certain parts on this particular car really is because of what this car is. This car happens to be the 67 Corvette, but the pedigree of this particular car is a 67, 427, 435 horse, blah, blah, blah. This car has the tank sticker to prove that this motor was the motor for this car. This motor has the stamps with the serial numbers that's the same on this particular car. This motor has the stamps on it that tell you the motor is 435 horsepower with the VIN number stamped on it. So what you're seeing underneath here is a car with 3x2. You got 3 2-barrels on it. This was really the holy grail back in 1967. It was the most powerful and one of the fastest cars sold actually in America at its time. And the performance of them is absolutely spectacular. I would have to say it's probably the most desirable car to actually collect, even over and above some of the Shelbys. Some of the Shelbys that are out there, they all kind of reach somewhere around the same price. The Cobras are kind of a different story, but you know, that's the different type of car. And they really weren't a production car. They were built really by more of a race type team. This was a production automobile that had this type of performance. So I think anybody gets a handle on one, good car to restore. So that's the reason why we're going for the original colors and all the original stuff to it. You're going to see this in one of the episodes, and I think you're really going to be pretty impressed. You're going to see one of the coolest cars out there. Hope you enjoyed the show. We covered a lot of things this week of the show. I'm even tired just doing it. All the cars going on. You're seeing the paint being stripped on Dennis's Ranchero. That car's going to get together pretty fast. I think you're really going to enjoy see how that goes on. And all the other cars coming in. Cars are coming into the shop to get ready for the shows coming up for this year. Going to the Good Guys, going to Monterey, going to all the other events, and of course Hot San Jose Nights. We'd like to see all you there. Dream Machines is looking forward to seeing you there. And that's what guys are getting their cars together for. We hope to see you all down at all the shows. Hey, live life well and God bless you. We'll see you guys next week.